The sky above Ashara was a relentless canvas of swirling ash and molten light, the air thick with the scent of sulfur and heat. From the jagged cliffs that crowned the volcanic ridges, I watched the serpents dance in the fiery sky, massive beasts twisting and diving with a grace that defied their terrifying size. Their scales caught the fading sun, casting sparks like living embers against the smoke-darkened horizon. For years, I had been an outcast among the sky serpent riders, my name whispered with a mixture of pity and blame. The accident from my youth, the fall that had branded me as cursed, still haunted me in quiet moments like this. The shame was a heavy cloak, and the loneliness deeper than even the volcanic chasms below. Kalen, a voice called, sharp and familiar. Lyra, my childhood friend, approached with quick steps, her braided hair catching stray embers in the wind. Her green eyes held the fierce protectiveness that had always steadied me. "You shouldn't be here alone," she said, her tone equal parts scolding and concern. I managed a small smile. "Where else would I be?" She sighed, glancing toward the horizon where the serpents writhed and soared. "The others don't understand," I said quietly. "They see me as a danger, a reminder of failure." Lyra's gaze softened. Maybe it's time they saw something different. Her words hung between us as the ground beneath our feet trembled, a sharp, warning pulse from the restless volcano. The air grew thick with ash, and the serpents above cried out, their voices echoing like thunder. Drawn by a force I couldn't name, I slipped away from the ridge toward a narrow valley veiled in smoke and shadow. The heat here was almost unbearable, but something deeper called to me. There, nestled among cracked obsidian stones, lay a serpent unlike any I'd seen. Its scales shimmered with an impossible blend of gold and crimson, flickering with an inner flame that seemed alive. It was larger and more majestic than the others, its eyes ancient and wise. I hesitated, heart pounding. The stories of the legendary sky serpent, the rare bond, had always seemed like myths told to inspire or frighten. Yet here it was, flesh and fire, breathing smoke into the molten air. "Come," I whispered, reaching out with a trembling hand. The serpent's great head lowered slowly, nostrils flaring as it studied me. In that moment, an electric connection sparked, an unspoken understanding passing between us. The shame and isolation that had clung to me began to crack, replaced by a fierce, flickering hope. Suddenly, a sharp rustle alerted me to a figure watching from the shadows. Torin, a scout from the Ember Fang tribe, crouched on a distant outcrop, his eyes narrowed and calculating. He saw the bond too, and I knew that the fragile piece of Ashara's skies was about to shatter. As I mounted the rare serpent's back for the first time, the world seemed to tilt and roar. The fire within me surged, and the winds of Ashara carried us upward toward a fate I could no longer deny. The flames of the volcanic skies were no longer just a backdrop to my exile. They had become the crucible of my destiny. But in the shadows beyond the ash and smoke, I could sense the embered fury of the Ember Fang tribe, their wrath ready to ignite. This was only the beginning. I gripped the serpent's scales tighter, breath steadying. Whatever awaited, I would face it with the fire burning inside me. The sky was vast, the serpent soared, and my story, our story, was about to take flight. The morning sun rose over the jagged peaks of Ashara, painting the volcanic skies with bruised hues of orange and crimson. From the ridge that crowned the sky serpent riders' encampment, I watched the horizon with a mixture of dread and wonder. The rare serpent lay coiled beneath me, its scales shimmering like molten glass, reflecting the fiery dawn's light in a dance of flickering flames. The bond between us was new, fragile, and bewildering, a thread of connection that pulled me from the shadows of my outcast life toward a destiny I scarcely dared to imagine. It was not easy. Every movement felt foreign, every command a test of will and trust. The serpent's breath was warm against my skin, a pulse of life that thrummed beneath my palms. I spoke to it in the quiet, soothing tones I'd practiced, trying to calm the tempest inside my chest as much as the creature beneath me. Its eyes, deep pools of amber fire, mirrored my own uncertainty and flickered with something like patience. But the tribe did not share my wonder. From the fringes of their gathering, eyes followed me, sharp, suspicious, weighed down by the ghosts of old fears. The elders whispered of omens and ancient curses, their voices low and trembling like the rumble of distant thunder. To them, I was no longer just the boy who had fallen from grace. I was a harbinger of chaos, a living symbol of the unknown. In the midst of this growing divide, Lyra found me. Her approach was as steady and sure as the serpents she rode, her presence a balm against the sting of isolation. "Kaelin," she said softly, her sharp green eyes alight with fierce compassion. "You're stronger than you know. This bond, it's more than chance. It's a legacy. And you don't have to face it alone." Sitting by the firelight that evening, she shared stories passed down through generations. Tales of riders who had forged bonds with the rare serpents long, thought lost to legend. Her voice wove through the crackling flames, painting pictures of courage born from trust, of flight as freedom, of fire as transformation. I listened, the embers of hope kindling in my chest alongside the roaring fire. Yet even as Lyra's words lifted me, the shadow of danger crept closer. From the ash-choked forests beyond our borders, I sensed eyes watching, calculating, waiting. Emberfang scouts moved like ghosts in the smoke, their loyalty to Varric burning hot with ambition and hatred. They saw me not as a boy struggling to find his place, but as a threat, the rare serpent at my side, a challenge to their dominion of the skies. Days passed in a blur of training and quiet confrontation. I wrestled with the serpent's strength, learning to anticipate its movements, to become one with its soaring grace. Each flight was a battle against the doubts that clung to me like ash, each landing a small victory against the weight of my past. Lyra was there at every turn, a voice of reason when my thoughts spiraled, a hand steadying mine when fear threatened to overwhelm. Together, we navigated the tangled web of tribal customs and whispered suspicions, our friendship a fragile but unbreakable bond. One afternoon, as the sun dipped beneath the smoky horizon, we stood watching the distant ridge where Ember Fang scouts had been spotted. Their silhouettes were sharp against the dying light, a reminder that the peace we clung to was as fragile as the volcanic glass beneath our feet. "They're watching," Lyra said, her voice low but steady. "They know." I swallowed hard, the serpent stirring beneath me, its heat seeping into my bones. "Then we have to be ready." The night stretched long and restless. In the flickering shadows of my tent, I spoke softly to the rare serpent, promising courage and trust even when my own heart trembled. Outside, the tribe's murmurs rose and fell with the wind, a chorus of doubt and hope intertwined. As I lay beneath the volcanic stars, the weight of my past pressed down, but so did the promise of flight, of freedom, waiting just beyond the ash and smoke. Tomorrow, the skies would test me, and I would rise or fall on wings of fire. But for now, I was not alone. Lyra's unwavering belief was a flame that refused to be extinguished, and in that, I found the first true spark of belonging. The journey was just beginning. The skies above Ashara, churned with ash and flickers of molten rock, painting a restless canvas of smoke and fire. Beneath this volatile dome, I stood alone on the jagged outcrop overlooking the encampment, my gaze fixed on the serpents coiled and slumbering like ancient sentinels beneath the orange glow. My rare serpent, whose scales shimmered with a faint ethereal light, rested nearby, its breath a soft hiss that stirred the hot volcanic wind. Yet, despite the serenity it seemed to embody, unease gnawed at my heart. The murmurs among my tribe had grown louder, whispers of fear and superstition that clung to my bond like smoke to flame. The council fire crackled in the distance, where the elders had gathered to deliberate. I knew I was summoned, not as an honored rider, but as the outcast who dared to claim a serpent no one else could. My footsteps crunched softly on the ash-laden ground as I approached, the weight of their stares pressing heavier than the volcanic heat. Eldrin, the tribal elder with his silver hair and molten lava eyes, sat at the center, his visage carved with years of wisdom and sorrow. His gaze met mine, and I saw the flicker of something deeper concern, perhaps, or a warning buried beneath his calm exterior. Kalen, Eldrin's voice rang out, low and resonant. The bond you share is unlike any in our history. The serpent you ride carries the mark of the ancients, a flame that can either forge or consume. His words twisted in the smoky air, heavy with implication. The other elders exchanged glances, their faces etched with old fears and grudges. Superstitions had always shadowed the rare serpents, creatures thought to be the living embodiment of Ashara's volatile spirit. To ride one was to dance on the edge of destruction. Many among us question your place, your loyalty, Eldrin continued, his voice softening, yet no less grave. This bond stirs memories best left buried, whispers of an era when the skies burned not with fire, but with war. I swallowed hard, the sting of their judgment cutting deep. The memory of my childhood fall, the shame, the exile it all surged within me like a flame threatening to consume. I wanted to rise above it, to prove that courage was not the absence of fear, but the will to face it. Yet, standing before the council, I felt the weight of their doubt, like chains tightening around my spirit. As the council session ended, I found solace in the familiar presence of Lyra. Her eyes, sharp and steady, met mine with unwavering support. "You carry more than just a serpent, Kalen," she said quietly. "You carry hope for all of us. Don't let their fear become your cage." Her words kindled a fragile spark within me, a flicker of warmth against the cold ash of my doubts. Together, we walked beneath the volcanic skies, the air thick with ash and anticipation, as if the land itself held its breath for what was to come. But beyond our borders, shadows gathered. Hidden among the jagged cliffs, Torin, the Ember Fang scout, moved like a wraith. His eyes, sharp and calculating, observed our every move, his presence a silent herald of the storm brewing. The rival tribe's ambitions were no secret, their hatred for me a burning ember that threatened to ignite into war. The days that followed were a crucible. I navigated the intricate dance of tribal politics, facing cold stares and veiled threats. Eldrin's cryptic warnings haunted my every step, his stories of ancient prophecies, weaving a tapestry of dread that clung to my serpent's glowing scales. Yet, amid the whispers and smoke, Lyra's friendship remained a steadfast flame, guiding me through the darkness. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the volcanic peaks, painting the sky in hues of fire and ash, Eldrin invited me to his hut. The air inside was thick with the scent of herbs and ancient scrolls, relics of a time when serpents and riders were bound by sacred rites. "You must understand, Kalen," Eldrin said, his eyes reflecting the flickering flame. "The bond you share is both gift and curse. It will test you, challenge the very core of your being. But it can also unite us if you have the courage to lead." His words stirred a tumult within me, a mixture of fear and fierce resolve. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with peril and shadowed by the specter of Ember Fang's wrath. Yet, as I looked to the glowing eyes of my serpent and felt Lyra's steady presence beside me, I knew that flight was not just escape, it was freedom. And freedom was worth fighting for. The night grew thick with ash as distant howls echoed from the Ember Fang's territory. Torin's reconnaissance had revealed plans darker than mere rivalry and impending assault that could shatter the fragile peace and engulf us all in flame. The tribe's divisions deepened, with some elders blaming me for inviting disaster, while others whispered of prophecy and destiny. In the face of this storm, I wrestled with my own fears. Could I rise above the scars of my past? Could I lead a tribe that had cast me aside? The answer lay not in strength alone, but in the courage born from the fire within, a fire that now burned brighter, fueled by the bonds of trust, friendship, and the fierce will to soar beyond the ash and smoke. As dawn crept over the volcanic horizon, painting the land with hues of molten gold, I stood once more on the precipice. The rare serpent stirred beneath me, its scales catching the first light like embers set aflame. Together, we would face the coming trials. Together, we would write a new chapter in the skies of Ashara. But as the winds whispered through the charred trees, carrying voices from the shadows, one question remained. Would the tribe follow, or would fear ground us all forever? The answer lay in the flight ahead. The blistering sun beat down relentlessly over the volcanic cliffs of Ashara, painting the jagged edges with hues of molten gold and crimson. I stood at the edge of the training grounds, my heart pounding in my chest like the distant rumble of the sleeping volcano. Below me, the rare serpent waited, a magnificent beast whose scales shimmered with the iridescent glow of molten glass, reflecting the fiery sky above. Its eyes, deep pools of ancient wisdom, flicked toward me with an almost knowing gaze. Today marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just in my life, but in the fate entwined with this rare creature. I took a deep breath, steadying the whirlwind of nerves swirling inside. The memory of my fall haunted me still, a shadow that clung to my every thought. But this time, I was determined to rise above it. With cautious hands, I grasped the serpent's leathery reins and swung myself atop its powerful back. The heat radiating from its scaled body was intense, a living ember beneath me that seemed to fuel my own resolve. The first moments were stiff, awkward, our movements uncoordinated, mismatched like two strangers attempting a fragile dance. The serpent flexed its vast wings, sending a gust of heated wind that carried the scent of sulfur and ash. I tightened my grip, willing my limbs to respond. Slowly, painfully, we lifted off the ground. The roar of the wind filled my ears, drowning out the doubts that clamored within. "Steady, Kalen," Lyra's voice called out, clear and unwavering. From the training grounds below, she watched with sharp green eyes that sparkled with encouragement and a hint of mischief. Her presence grounded me, a tether to the world beyond my fears. Over the next hours, Lyra became more than a friend. She was my guide through the labyrinth of serpent lore and tribal customs. We sat beneath the gnarled ash trees, their branches blackened by fire, but resilient as ever, as she recounted the sacred traditions of our people. Her words painted pictures of the ancient riders who soared these skies, their spirits forever bound to the serpents they tamed. "You must listen to the serpent, not just with your ears, but with your heart," she told me one evening, her voice soft as the embers fading in our campfire. "They are not merely beasts of burden, they are partners, extensions of your very soul." Her wisdom seeped into me, chipping away at the walls I had built around my heart. I tried to see through the veil of doubt and isolation, to imagine myself not as an outcast, but as a rider worthy of the skies. Eldrin, the tribal elder with eyes like molten lava, became another pillar of strength. One twilight, I found myself sitting beside him, the crackling fire casting flickering shadows across his weathered face. His stories carried the weight of history tales of courage and sacrifice etched into the very bones of Ashara. "Flight is not just escape," Eldrin said, his voice a low rumble. "It is freedom, a connection to the fire that burns within all of us. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the choice to rise despite it." His words ignited something deep inside me, a spark kindling into a growing flame. The next days were filled with grueling training hours, spent synchronizing my every movement. With the serpent's powerful wings, learning to anticipate its instincts as if they were my own. Lyra's guidance was relentless yet patient, her laughter a balm to my weary spirit. The moment of breakthrough came suddenly. We were soaring above the glowing rivers of lava, the night sky painted with streaks of ember and ash. The serpent banked sharply, wings slicing through the hot air with grace. For the first time, I felt our hearts beat as one, the fear that had gripped me so tightly, now dissolved in the rush of wind and fire. I laughed aloud, the sound raw and free, echoing across the volcanic plains. The skies of Ashara stretched endlessly before me, a canvas of blazing freedom. In that instant, I was no longer the outcast, defined by a fall and a shameful past. I was a rider bound by courage, by fire, by flight. But even as joy surged through my veins, a shadow lingered at the edge of my vision. The Ember Fang watched, their fury growing as my bond with the rare serpent deepened. The path ahead promised trials that would test not only my skill, but the very fire within my soul. For now, though, I soared free, fierce, and ready to face whatever storms the volcanic skies would bring. The lesson of flight was more than mastering the air. It was learning to trust, to belong, and to ignite the courage that had always flickered beneath the ash. The first light of dawn barely pierced the thick veil of ash hanging over Ashara, casting an eerie twilight across the volcanic land. I stood beside Lyra in the shadowed tent at the edge of our camp, eyeing the crude map spread between us. The flickering firelight threw dancing shadows on the worn parchment, illuminating the jagged lines that marked the Ember Fang's known patrol routes. The air was heavy with the scent of smoke and molten rock, a constant reminder of the land's fury beneath our feet. "They're planning something," Lyra whispered, tracing a finger over the map. Tauren's scouts spotted increased movement near the eastern ridge. Too many for a simple patrol. I tightened my grip on the map. During the Festival of Fire, I said, voice low, "It's the perfect time. Our defenses will be down, distracted by the celebrations." Lyra's sharp green eyes met mine, a spark of worry mixed with determination. We need to warn the tribe. But the path to that warning was fraught with peril. The elders had not forgotten my fall from grace, nor the shadows that had clung to me since childhood. To many, I was still the outcast, the boy who brought shame with his failure. Now, with this rare serpent bond marking me as different, suspicion only deepened. Hours later, we gathered in the great fire pit clearing, the heart of the Sky Serpent Riders' Council. Eldrin sat quietly at the center, his molten eyes reflecting the flames as voices rose around us. Kalen, Elder Thane's voice boomed, filled with accusation. "Your reckless actions have brought this shadow upon us. The Ember Fang grow bold because of you." Murmurs rippled through the circle. I felt the weight of their gazes, some filled with doubt, others with thinly veiled contempt. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "We cannot afford to ignore the threat. Tauren's scouts confirm an attack during the festival. We must prepare." The council fractured between those who feared the growing danger and those who clung to old grievances. I stood silent, the firelight casting flickering patterns on the rare serpent curled at my feet, its scales shimmering like molten gold. Later, alone atop the rocky outcrop overlooking our lands, I let the volcanic glow wash over me. The distant rumble of war drums from Ember Fang echoed faintly, a grim reminder of the storm approaching. The fire within me, once tempered by doubt, now burned fierce and bright. I would not let the tribe fall. Not again. The Festival of Fire was meant to be a celebration of life amidst the ash and flame, but this year it would become a battlefield, and I would be ready. As the sun climbed higher, the shadows of Ember Fang grew longer, but so did the courage rising in my chest. The skies of Ashara were about to ignite, and I would be the spark that held the darkness at bay. The night before the festival, I found Lyra near the serpent pens, her eyes reflecting the stars. "Whatever happens," she said softly, "we face it together." I nodded, a rare smile breaking through the tension. together. The fire crackled, the serpents stirred, and the winds whispered of battles to come. In Ashara, where flight meant freedom and fire could consume or illuminate, our fate was about to be forged in flame. The Emberfang shadows lengthened, but so did the light of newfound resolve. And as the first festival torch was lit, I knew the skies would never be the same. The ash-laden winds whispered through the jagged cliffs of Ashara as I made my way to the hidden grove where I was to meet Lyra. The sky, a canvas of ember and soot, reflected the turmoil both within me and across our tribe. For too long, suspicion had shadowed my every step, my bond with the rare sky serpent a double-edged sword, both a marvel and a curse. Yet the time for hesitation had passed. I needed all eyes, and more than that, I needed to prove that the fire inside me could forge unity where there was only fracture. Lyra was waiting, her sharp green eyes gleaming beneath the braided ash-gray streaks in her hair. The flickering light from a small fire cast dancing shadows across her determined face. "Kaelin," she greeted softly, her voice a steady anchor amidst the chaos. "The tribe is restless. The elders whisper, but the younger riders look to you with something like hope." I nodded, settling beside her as the heat from the embers warmed our chilled skin. "It's not enough," I admitted. "They fear what I represent, a rare bond with a serpent no one understands. They see me as a threat, or worse, an ill omen." Lyra's smile was fierce, a spark that refused to be extinguished. "Then we give them a reason to believe. Together, our plans took shape beneath the smoky sky alliances to be sought among the tribe's factions, old grudges to be set aside, and most urgently, the shadow of a deeper threat looming over us all. Mira, my sister, had been taken by Emberfang scouts. The thought clawed at my chest, a fire hotter than any volcanic flame. I could not, would not, let fear chain me this time. The following day, we sought out Eldrin, a tribal elder whose silver hair and eyes like molten lava seemed almost otherworldly amidst the rocky terrain. In the council chamber, a cavernous hollow etched with ancient serpent carvings, Eldrin listened intently as we laid bare our concerns and hopes. "The serpents have always been more than mounts," Eldrin intoned, his voice resonant and grave. "They are the bridge between fire and flight, between our ancestors and our future. Your bond, Kaelin, is no accident. It is a sign. But signs require interpretation, and trust requires time." He spoke of ancient pacts, of tribes once united by shared reverence for the sky serpents and the volcanic lands that birthed them. "Old wounds can heal," he said, "if the flame is tended with care." Inspired, Lyra and I took our message to the tribe. Standing before a gathering that crackled with tension, I felt the weight of countless eyes, some wary, some curious, others outright hostile. The rare serpent coiled silently behind me, its massive form a living testament to what was possible. "We face a storm," I began, voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. "Emberfang grows bolder, their hatred for us fueled by fear and ambition. But we are not broken. We are the Sky Serpent Riders, born of ash and flame. We can rise together or fall divided. I ask you to stand with me, not because I am worthy now, but because we can be worthy together." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some elders exchanged skeptical glances, but others, especially younger riders, nodded with renewed spirit. Lyra stepped forward, her words sharp and heartfelt, rallying those who had long awaited a beacon of hope. Yet beneath the swelling support lay the unyielding reality. Mira was still captive, and time was a luxury we could ill afford. The decision was unanimous: a rescue mission would be mounted at dawn. I would lead it, flanked by Lyra and a small band of trusted riders. As the volcanic night deepened, I prepared for the flight ahead. The rare serpent scales shimmered faintly in the moonlight, its steady breathing a balm to my restless thoughts. The air was thick with ash and anticipation, every sense heightened. This was no longer just about survival. It was about reclaiming our future. I whispered to my serpent, my voice low and soothing. We fly not just for me, but for all of us. For Myra, for Ashara. The fire within me burned brighter than ever. A fierce courage forged in the crucible of exile and hope. The path ahead was perilous, the skies uncertain, but for the first time, I felt the weight of belonging settling firmly upon my shoulders, an ember glowing steadily in the heart of Ashara. And so, beneath a sky heavy with ash and promise, we took flight toward the unknown, ready to face whatever storms awaited beyond the smoke. The first pale light of dawn was just beginning to bleed through the thick ash clouds that perpetually hung over Ashara's volcanic peaks, casting a ghostly orange glow across the jagged landscape. My rare serpent, whose scales shimmered like molten bronze in the dim light, flexed its great wings with a power that made the air itself tremble. Beside me, Lyra's serpent coiled and uncoiled, muscles taut and ready. We were perched on the edge of the Sky Serpent Rider's territory, staring down the dangerous expanse where Emberfang scouts had taken my sister, Myra. The mission ahead was perilous, but there was no hesitation. The fire in my gut flared hotter than the volcano's breath. I was no longer the outcast I once was. I was a brother, a rider, and I had to bring Myra home. Ready. Lyra's voice was low but steady, a beacon in the thick, smoky air. I nodded, swallowing the knot of fear that had settled in my throat. Let's bring her back. Our serpents leapt into the sky in a thunderous rush of wind and beating wings, slicing through the ash-laden air. The world below seemed to blur into a tapestry of fire and shadow. Rivers of molten lava snaked between charred trees, and clouds of ash swirled like restless spirits. The smell of sulfur and smoke filled my senses, biting at my lungs, but I pushed it aside. Every beat of my serpent's wings was a drum of defiance against the doom surrounding us. As we approached the Emberfang territory, the tension ramped up. Scouts on smaller serpents darted like hawks below us, their fiery red eyes glinting through the haze. I could hear the faint crackle of burning embers and distant shouts carried on the wind. My heart hammered, but I refused to falter. Keep low and stay sharp, Lyra warned, her serpent weaving expertly through the shifting currents of hot air and ash. They'll be expecting us. I adjusted my grip, feeling the rare serpent respond beneath me, its scales warm against my skin. The bond we shared pulsed like a living thing, steadying me. I could feel its fierce intelligence and trust, and that gave me strength. We spotted Myra soon after, huddled in a crude Emberfang encampment, nestled in a rocky outcrop beneath the volcano's shadow. Her wide eyes locked onto me, a mixture of fear and hope shining through tears. Relief surged through me, but there was no time to waste. With a fierce cry, Lyra signaled, and we swooped down in a blur of wings and fire. The Emberfang warriors scrambled, but we were already on the move, Myra safe between us. The return flight was a gauntlet. Volcanic debris rained down around us, and the air grew thick with choking smoke. My serpent's powerful wings beat steadily, cutting a path through the chaos, the roar of the erupting mountain a relentless threat at our backs. Myra clung to me tightly, her small hands gripping my armor as if refusing to let go. "You're safe now," I whispered, more to myself than to her, feeling the fierce surge of protectiveness that had fueled every moment of this flight. When we finally broke free from the tempest, the familiar sight of our tribal lands stretched out beneath us, bathed in the morning sun that pierced the ash clouds. The tribe's cheers rose up to meet us, a chorus of hope and welcome that filled my heart with a warmth stronger than any fire. That day, I realized that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the choice to face it head on. And as my serpent and I landed, the weight of my past shame lifted, replaced by the unshakable bond of family, friendship, and the unyielding spirit of flight. But the skies of Ashara were still heavy with threats, and the Emberfang's fury had only just begun to awaken. I knew our journey was far from over. As the sun climbed higher, I looked to Lyra, whose eyes held a fierce promise. "This is only the beginning," I said, voice steady. "For Mira, for the tribe, and for the fire within us all." And with that, the dance of serpents above Ashara continued, a story of courage and defiance written against the fiery canvas of the volcanic sky. The fire crackled low, casting erratic shadows across the worn stones of the tribal meeting circle. Eldrin's silver hair caught the flickering light, his eyes glowing faintly like molten lava as he unfurled an ancient scroll. The aged parchment was etched with serpentine glyphs, worn but still vibrant with the power of forgotten generations. Around the circle, the tribe's elders leaned forward in silence, their faces etched with a mixture of curiosity and unease. Kalen sat beside Lyra, the tightness in his chest growing heavier with every word Eldrin spoke. "This," Eldrin began, his voice low and steady, "is the lore of the flame serpents. It is older than any living memory, passed down from the first riders who tamed the skies over Ashara." He traced a finger along the glyphs, each symbol seeming to pulse faintly in the firelight. "The serpent you have bonded with, Kalen, is not merely rare. It is one of the last of the flame-born serpents, believed to hold the power of the volcano's heart itself." Murmurs swept through the circle. Some elders exchanged worried glances, while others stared at Kalen with newfound awe. The Flameborn were said to be creatures of immense power and unpredictable nature, capable of igniting both destruction and renewal. To bond with one was to inherit a legacy fraught with peril and promise. "The Flameborn serpents," Eldrin continued, "were once the arbiters of balance between tribes, their riders champions of unity and courage. But their power was feared, and many fell in the wars that followed. To possess such a bond now could shift the scales of power once more." Kalen's mind whirled. The weight of Eldrin's revelation settled over him like ash on the wind. His rare serpent was more than a companion. It was a symbol, a weapon, and a beacon. But with that came the heavy price of expectation and fear. Later, alone at the cliff's edge, overlooking the endless expanse of volcanic peaks and smoky skies, Kalen breathed in the sulfur-tinged air. The distant rumble of the volcano was a constant reminder of the world's volatile nature, mirroring the turmoil within his heart. He clenched his fists, the memory of his childhood fall still a shadow at the edges of his thoughts. Could he rise above his past and fulfill the promise Eldrin spoke of? Back at the tribe, tensions simmered beneath the surface. The council chamber was thick with whispered doubts and veiled accusations. Some elders viewed Kellen's bond with suspicion, fearing the flame that might consume them all. Others saw hope in his courage, a chance to reclaim lost unity. Lyra stood unwaveringly at Kalen's side, her sharp green eyes scanning the gathered elders. "He carries not just a serpent," she said quietly but firmly, "but the future of our tribe." Her words cut through the murmurs, but the divide was clear. Political intrigue stirred like the shifting ash clouds overhead, threatening to unravel the fragile peace. In the days that followed, Kalen and Lyra dedicated themselves to training with the rare serpent. Their movements became a dance of trust and precision, weaving through the smoky skies with growing confidence. Every synchronized beat of wing and heart was a testament to the fragile unity they sought to build, not just between rider and serpent, but among their people. Yet, beneath the growing bond, the embers of suspicion still smoldered. Kalen knew the road ahead was perilous. To embrace the legacy of the Flameborn was to walk a path lit by fire and shadow. As night fell over Ashara, the volcanic skies roared softly, a reminder that the greatest trials were yet to come. Kellen's journey was no longer just about finding his place. It was about igniting a new hope for all who dared to soar beyond the ash and smoke. The flames of destiny flickered, waiting to blaze anew. The Festival of Fire began as the first embers of dawn painted the volcanic sky with hues of orange and deep red, a fiery canvas that stretched over the land of Ashara. From the rocky ridges to the ash-covered plains, the tribes gathered in a rare moment of unity, their massive sky serpents coiled and resting, their scales glinting like molten metal beneath the rising sun. The air was thick with anticipation and the scent of burning pine and sulfur, a heady mix that stirred the spirits of all who breathed it. I stood at the edge of the great circle, where the festival's heart beat strongest, my eyes tracing the flickering flames that danced atop the stone pyres. The drums began a deep, steady thrum that pulsed through the ground and echoed in my chest. Around me, the sky serpent riders and allied clans adorned themselves in ceremonial garb, feathers and scales woven into intricate patterns, their faces painted with ash and vibrant reds that mirrored the volcanic fire itself. Despite the celebration, a knot of unease twisted in my stomach. The rare sky serpent curled beside me, its great eyes reflecting the fiery spectacle, but even its calm presence could not dispel the shadows that lingered at the edges of my mind. Whispers of Emberfang spies infiltrating the festival had reached my ears, and the memory of past betrayals made my grip tighten on the serpent's scaled neck. Lyra appeared beside me, her sharp green eyes bright with excitement, yet clouded with concern. "Kaelin," she murmured, brushing a loose strand of ash-gray hair from her face, "the Emberfang will not let this festival pass without blood. We must be ready." I nodded, my gaze scanning the throng of revelers. Among the laughter and music, I could sense the subtle movements of those who did not belong. Torrent's figure slipped through the crowd like a shadow, his presence a stark reminder of the threats lurking beneath the festival's vibrant surface. As the sun climbed higher, the tribes engaged in ancient rituals honoring the fire that both destroyed and gave life. I took part reluctantly, reciting the words Eldrin had taught me, feeling the weight of my tribe's expectations press upon my shoulders. The elder's voice echoed in my memory, his warnings about balance and the cost of power resonating more deeply with each passing moment. Later, the festival's energy shifted. Lyra's urgent call shattered the festive atmosphere. She had been ambushed in the ash-laden woods by Emberfang scouts. The narrow escape she made, breathless and shaken, revealed the enemy's boldness and growing desperation. Her presence at the festival was no accident. It was a calculated strike meant to weaken us from within. The revelation ignited a fire within me that rivaled the molten rivers beneath our feet. No longer could I stand on the sidelines, doubting my place or abilities. The festival's flames mirrored the courage I would need to face the darkness closing in on us. As night fell, the sky above Ashara blazed with fireworks and the wild dances of serpents taking to the air in celebration. Yet beneath the surface of jubilation, I prepared. The Emberfang's aggression was a spark that threatened to ignite a war, and I was determined to be the flame that defended my people. The festival was far from over, and the true battle was just beginning. With Lyra and Eldrin by my side, I resolved to meet the coming storm head-on. The fiery skies bore witness to the birth of a new Courage One, forged in the heat of fear and the promise of flight. I took a deep breath, the hot volcanic wind filling my lungs, and whispered to my rare serpent, "Together, we will rise beyond the ash and smoke." And so, under the blazing skies of Ashara, the Festival of Fire became the crucible where my fate and that of my tribe would be forever changed. The Festival of Fire had always been a spectacle of awe, a time when the skies above Ashara blazed brighter than the rivers of molten lava flowing beneath the volcanic peaks. Tonight, the air was thick with the scent of sulfur and smoke, the crackle of bonfires mingling with the distant rumble of the restless earth. Villagers and riders alike gathered at the high cliffs overlooking the valley, their faces illuminated by the flickering glow of countless torches and lanterns. The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation and the hope of renewal that the festival symbolized each year. As Kalen stood beside his rare serpent, their bond humming with a quiet intensity, his gaze swept across the gathered tribe. The elders watched from the stone circle, their faces taut with a mixture of pride and lingering doubt. Lyra was near him, her sharp green eyes reflecting the fiery display as she whispered words of encouragement. Despite the warmth of the celebration, Kellen's heart beat with an undercurrent of unease. The warnings from Eldrin had been clear. The Ember Fang were restless, their shadows already creeping into the edges of their world. Without warning, a sudden roar split the night. The crowd's attention snapped upward as dark shapes tore through the smoky sky. The silhouettes of Ember Fang serpents cutting across the volcanic glow like harbingers of doom. They came swift and fierce, their riders clad in blackened armor, eyes burning with a ruthless hunger. The surprise attack shattered the festival's joyous veneer, plunging the skies into chaos. To arms! Kellen's voice rose above the clamor, steady and commanding. Without hesitation, he vaulted onto the rare serpent's back, feeling the powerful muscles ripple beneath him. The serpent's scales shimmered with an otherworldly light, reflecting the fiery eruption below and the storm of battle awakening above. Around him, other riders scrambled to mount their serpents, the air thick with the cries of alarm and the clash of steel. Kellen's mind raced, every instinct honed by years of isolation and silent observation, now thrust into the crucible of war. He guided the serpent through swirls of ash and embers, dodging blasts of fire from Emberfang riders. The rare serpent responded to his every thought, a seamless extension of his will, its fiery breath scorching the air and scattering enemies like leaves before a storm. The battle was a tempest of fire and fury, serpents twisting and diving in deadly arcs, the sky a canvas of flashing claws and glowing eyes. Beside him, Lyra's voice cut through the din, sharp and unwavering. Flank to the east. Watch the scouts. Their movements were a dance of precision and trust, a testament to years of shared history and unspoken understanding. Kalen felt a surge of courage swell within him, the flame of his spirit ignited not just by the heat of battle, but by the bond forged through hardship and hope. Yet, amidst the fury, danger loomed closer. From the shadows emerged Varric, the Ember Fang leader, his towering form silhouetted against the molten horizon. His serpent was a monstrous beast of scarred scales and blazing eyes, a mirror of the violence that had shaped him. Kellen's heart tightened as their paths converged high above the glowing lava flows, the world below reduced to rivers of fire and ash. The duel was fierce and unyielding. Flames licked the edges of their serpent's wings, sparks flying as claws clashed and teeth snapped in the smoky air. Kellen's rare serpent unleashed bursts of searing fire, illuminating the darkened sky with a fierce radiance that pushed back the shadows. The struggle was more than physical. It was a battle of wills, of courage tested and fears faced. As the fight raged, Kalen found strength in the memories of his past, the sting of exile, the warmth of Lyra's friendship, Eldrin's cryptic wisdom. Each breath, each beat of his serpent's wings was a defiance against the darkness, threatening to consume them all. With a final blazing thrust, Kalen forced Varric back, the Ember Fang leader snarling as he retreated into the night, his forces scattered and broken. The skies quieted, but the echoes of battle lingered like smoke on the wind. The tribe rallied around Kalen, their doubts beginning to wane in the glow of his courage and the rare serpent's light. Yet the cost was clear. His victory was but a prelude to the greater trials yet to come. As embers drifted down from the scarred heavens, Kalen knew the true test of his leadership, and his bond had only just begun. This is not the end. Uldren's voice rumbled beside him, calm amidst the aftermath. It is the spark from which all fires grow. Kalen met Lyra's steady gaze, a silent promise passing between them. The festival's flames still burned, but now they carried the weight of a new dawn, where courage soared on wings of fire, and the skies of Ashara were theirs to reclaim. The night held its breath, waiting for the next move in a game where the stakes were life, loyalty, and the very soul of the sky itself. And Kalen was ready to lead the charge into whatever storm awaited. The ash still hung thick in the air, settling slowly over the bones of the battlefield like a shroud. I stood alone on the jagged outcrop that overlooked the scarred plains of Ashara, the land I called home and yet felt so estranged from. The sky above was a bruised canvas of fading light, streaked with smoke, the silhouettes of serpents still tracing slow, mournful circles high above. Each shadowed shape was a reminder of what we had fought for and what had been lost. My chest tightened, the weight of victory and sacrifice pressing down like the heat from the ever-burning volcanoes. It was quiet here, but the silence was not peace. The echoes of battle whispered in the wind, carried by the scent of scorched earth and singed scales. I closed my eyes, letting the memory of the fight wash over me, the roar of serpents, the clash of weapons, the screams of friends and foes alike. The rare serpent beside me shifted, its scales glinting faintly in the dying light, a steady warmth against my side. It was a comfort I hadn't known I needed. Turning away from the vista, I made my way back to the heart of the camp where the tribe gathered in the fire circle. Flames flickered wildly, casting dancing shadows across faces both weary and watchful. Lyra was there, her sharp green eyes catching mine as she rose to meet me. The air between us was charged with the residue of battle and the unspoken words that lingered in its aftermath. She approached, her hands reaching out instinctively to the cuts and bruises that marred my arm. Her touch was gentle but sure, fingers tracing the torn skin with practiced care. The crackle of the fire was the only sound as we sat close, the warmth a buffer against the cold silence that settled between us. "You fought well," she murmured, her voice low yet steady. "Better than anyone expected." Her eyes searched mine, seeking something beyond the wounds and the war. I wanted to believe her, to believe that the tribe saw me as more than the outcast I'd been branded, more than the boy who fell from his serpent and brought shame upon us all. But doubts gnawed at the edges of my resolve. "I still feel like I'm falling," I admitted, the words barely above a whisper. "Like I'm not sure if I belong here, even after all this." Lyra's smile was soft but resolute. "Belonging isn't given, Kalen. It's earned through courage, trust, and sometimes through fire. And you have all three." Her words settled over me like a balm, but before I could reply, Eldrin's voice called from the shadows beyond the firelight. The elder's figure emerged, silver hair catching sparks from the flames as he approached with measured steps. "Kalen," Eldrin said, his eyes glowing faintly like molten lava, "the battle is won, but the war is far from over. There are forces at work you cannot yet see, forces that threaten not just our tribe, but the balance of all the skies." I stood, meeting his gaze with a mixture of respect and unease. "What do you mean?" Eldrin's expression darkened. "The Emberfang's wrath is but a spark. The true fire burns deeper, in the shadows of our world and in the hearts of those who would see Ashara divided. You must prepare not only to fight with claws and flames, but to lead with wisdom and courage beyond what you have yet known." The weight of his words sank deep. I glanced at Lyra, whose steady presence reminded me I was not alone in this fight. But even as the fire crackled and the night deepened, I knew the path ahead would test every part of me. The next day, the tension that had simmered beneath the surface boiled over during the tribal council. The great hall was crowded with elders, warriors, and riders, their faces etched with worry and suspicion. The scars of battle were fresh, and so were the doubts about my leadership. Voices rose in heated debate, some questioning the wisdom of my decisions, others wary of the rare serpent's influence. I stood at the center, heart pounding as accusations and fears were flung like sparks in the wind. He brought danger upon us all. One elder hissed, his gaze sharp. A boy with no standing, riding a beast no one understands. But he saved us. Lyra countered fiercely, stepping beside me. And he fights with more courage than any of us. The hall fell into uneasy silence, eyes flickering between us. I felt the weight of every doubt, every whispered word from the past. Yet beneath it all, something stronger was stirring, a fierce determination to stand firm, to be more than the outcast, to be the leader my tribe needed. As the council continued, I realized that the battle for Ashara's skies was no longer just against Ember Fang. It was also a battle for trust, for unity, and for the very soul of our people. And I would have to rise to it, no matter the cost. That night, as the camp settled beneath the smoky stars, I found Lyra again by the fire. This time, our hands met without hesitation, a silent promise forged in the flickering light. The road ahead was uncertain, but together we would face whatever flames awaited us. And beyond the horizon, the embers of a larger storm glowed faintly, waiting, watching, ready to ignite. But I was no longer the boy who fell. I was Kalen, bonded to a rare serpent, carrying the fire of courage and the hope of a new dawn. My story was just beginning. The cavernous heart of Emberfang's volcanic fortress pulsed with an ominous heat, the air thick with the scent of sulfur and ash. Within this molten bastion, Varek stood tall, his silhouette framed by the roaring lava pit that cast a hellish glow upon his scarred visage. His fiery red eyes burned brighter than the molten rivers that coursed beneath the fortress, a mirror to the rage that had festered within him for years. Around him, the Emberfang warriors assembled in disciplined ranks, their serpents coiled and restless, scales glinting like shards of obsidian against the flickering firelight. The tribe's tension was palpable, a mixture of anticipation and raw fury. Varek's voice cut through the thick air, commanding attention with a tone both cold and commanding. "The time has come," he declared, voice echoing against the volcanic stone walls. "The Sky Serpent Riders believe they can defy us, that an outcast with a rare serpent can challenge my rule. They are fools. We will show them the true meaning of fire's wrath." His words sparked a fierce cheer, the warriors pounding their chests and raising their weapons high. Among them, Torin, the keen-eyed scout, stepped forward, his lean form shadowed beneath a hood. He relayed the latest intelligence, his voice low but urgent. "Kalen's bond with the rare serpent grows stronger, but he remains isolated. The tribe is divided, some elders wary of his rise. They prepare for the volcanic eruption festival, unaware that we plan to strike then." Varek nodded, his gaze narrowing. "Good. The festival will be their undoing. We will strike when their guard is lowest, when the skies are filled with ash and chaos." Later, in the solitude of his chamber carved from volcanic rock, Varek traced the deep scars that marred his hands. Each mark told a story of brutal tribal wars and betrayals that had shaped him into the ruthless leader he was today. His mind flickered back to the past, a childhood forged in fire and blood, a family shattered by conflict, and the relentless drive to prove his strength. "Kalen," he muttered, lips curling into a bitter smile, "you think your bond makes you strong, but strength is forged in battle, in domination. You will learn that soon enough." Outside, the Emberfang warriors sharpened their weapons with practiced precision, the metallic scrape ringing through the volcanic night. Their serpents coiled and hissed, senses alert beneath the smoky sky, ready for the decisive battle that would decide the fate of the skies above Ashara. The air was thick with the promise of war, the flames of vengeance burning brighter than ever. Varek's wrath was no longer a distant threat. It was a storm gathering on the horizon, one that would test Kellen's courage and the very bonds that held the tribes together. As the embers of the past ignited into a blazing fury, the stage was set for a confrontation that would echo through the volcanic skies for generations to come. The Emberfang's wrath was unleashed, and there was no turning back. The fire within Varrock was a force of destruction and ambition, a force that threatened to consume everything and everyone in its path. And at the center of it all stood Kaelin, the outcast with a rare serpent bond, the spark of hope against the raging inferno. The skies of Ashara would soon tremble with the clash of wings and wills, as two fierce destinies collided in the heart of volcanic storm. The battle for the skies was about to begin. The first light of dawn crept over the volcanic ridges of Ashara, casting a molten glow that set the sky ablaze with hues of orange and red. Kaelin stood at the precipice of a jagged rock outcrop, the coarse ash and stone crunching beneath his boots. His gaze was fixed on the horizon, where fiery clouds melded with the rising sun, a storm of smoke and embers swirling in the distance. The air was thick with the scent of sulfur and anticipation. Today was the day the tribe would prepare for a battle that could decide their fate, a battle against the Emberfang and their relentless leader, Varrock. The past weeks had been a whirlwind. Since bonding with the rare sky serpent, the weight of leadership had fallen heavily on Kellen's shoulders. Once the outcast, now the reluctant beacon of hope, he felt the tug of every eye watching, every whispered doubt, and every silent question about his worth. Yet beneath the pressure, a fire burned steadily within him, a flame kindled by the rare serpent's fierce spirit and the unwavering support of those around him. Kellen's training sessions had grown more intense, each flight a battle against his own fears as much as against the elements. Early that morning, he met Lyra at the training grounds, a wide plateau carved out from the volcanic rock where the tribe's riders honed their skills. The wind whipped fiercely, carrying ash across the sky and tugging at their cloaks. Their serpents, massive and sinuous, coiled like living fireflies, scales shimmering with iridescent reds, oranges, and golds, ready. Lyra called out, her voice steady but carrying an edge of excitement. Kaelin nodded, tightening his grip on the reins. Always, they launched into the sky, the serpent's powerful wings beating against the sulphurous air. The world dropped away beneath them, rivers of molten lava, jagged peaks, and swirling ash clouds. Synchronizing their movements was no easy feat. It demanded complete trust and instinctual harmony. Lyra's laughter rang out, sharp and clear, cutting through the roar of the wind. "You're improving," she teased, her eyes gleaming with pride. Kaelin allowed himself a rare smile, feeling the bond strengthen between rider and serpent, between him and his tribe. "Thanks to you." After hours of aerial drills, they returned to the ground, hearts pounding and muscles burning. The day's light waned as the tribe gathered around the central fire pit. Eldrin awaited them, a figure carved from the very essence of Ashara, his silver hair glinting in the firelight and eyes glowing like molten lava. His presence commanded silence, and the flickering flames cast dancing shadows over his weathered face. "The serpents have watched over these lands longer than any tribe," Eldrin began, his voice low and resonant. "They are more than beasts. They are the keepers of balance." The rare serpent bonded to Kaelin carries a power ancient and immense. It is a symbol and a warning. Murmurs rippled through the gathered riders. Some faces shone with hope, others shadowed with doubt. "We stand on the edge of the firestorm," Eldrin continued. "But courage is not the absence of fear. It is the flame that burns brightest in its presence." Kaelin met Eldrin's gaze, feeling the weight of the elder's words settle within him. The fire crackled, sparks spiraling upward as if carrying their resolve to the gods of the volcanic skies. That night, the tribe convened in the great hall, carved from obsidian. Torches lined the walls, throwing dancing light over the tense faces of leaders and warriors alike. Kaelin stepped forward, his heart hammering, but his voice clear and steady. "We cannot let fear fracture us," he declared. "The Emberfang seek to break our spirit and claim these skies. But together, we are stronger. Our serpents are not just our wings. They are our bond, our family. We will face the firestorm as one. Some nodded, others exchanged wary glances. The road to unity was still fragile, but a seed had been planted. Kellen's words stirred a cautious hope, a flicker of trust that maybe, just maybe, he could lead them through the coming darkness. As the meeting ended, Lyra approached, her eyes searching his. "You've changed, Kalen. You're not just surviving anymore. You're leading. I believe in you." Her words settled like a balm over old wounds, igniting a courage that had long been buried beneath doubt and shame. Outside, the volcanic winds howled, carrying the promise of storm and fire. The battle was coming, and Kalen was ready to face it, not as an outcast, but as the tribe's fire-branded leader. The skies of Ashara would soon roar with the clash of serpents and steel. But in the heart of the firestorm, Kalen would find his true strength. And the journey was just beginning. The sky above Ashara darkened as the volcanic ash swirled like a living tempest, casting ominous shadows over the jagged peaks that cradled the tribes below. The air was thick with smoke and the electric charge of impending conflict. From the heart of the Sky Serpent Rider's stronghold, I looked up, my rare serpent's scales shimmering faintly beneath the choking clouds, his breath a low rumble against the roar of the volcano. "This is it," Lyra's voice crackled in my ear, steady despite the tension. We had trained and prepared for this moment, yet the weight of what lay ahead pressed down harder than any ashfall. The Ember Fang were coming, led by Varek, a man whose fiery rage matched the molten rivers that flowed through Ashara's bones. The first signs of their arrival were distant cries and the flapping of massive wings that stirred the thickened air. One by one, serpents appeared, their forms cutting through the smoke like streaks of shadow and flame. My heart hammered, but beneath it bloomed a fierce, unfamiliar courage, the fire within that Eldrin had spoken of, the spark that had kindled the bond between me and my serpent. "Hold steady," Eldrin's calm voice echoed in my mind, a beacon amid the chaos. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to face it. I tightened my grip on the leather reins, feeling the serpent's muscles coil beneath me in anticipation. Varek emerged through the haze, his scarred face set in a grim mask, eyes blazing with the same fury that had ignited countless battles. His serpent, a monstrous creature of black and crimson scales, bellowed a challenge that reverberated across the volcanic cliffs. With a roar, the battle erupted. Serpents collided in mid-air, wings beating the heavy smoke, talons flashing like lightning. I plunged forward, weaving through the chaos, the rare serpent's instincts guiding us with precision. The air was alive with the crackle of fire. Emberfang warriors unleashed blasts of blazing breath, their flames painting streaks of orange and red against the darkened sky. Varek met me head-on, their serpents circling in a deadly spiral above a chasm that spewed molten rock below. His voice cut through the din. "You think you can challenge me, outcast? This sky belongs to the strong." I answered not with words, but action. Calling upon the bond forged in silence and trial, I urged my serpent into a swift dive. The rare serpent's breath ignited in brilliant arcs, a cascade of brilliant flames that roared like a second sun, forcing Varek's serpent to wheel away, scorched but not subdued. The battle raged, each clash a blur of sensation, the heat of fire against my face, the smell of sulfur and ash, the deafening roar of wings and battle cries. I felt every muscle strain, every heartbeat racing against the ticking clock of survival. Lyra was close, her voice a steady drum of encouragement and tactical commands, her presence a lifeline in the maelstrom. As we spiraled higher, the sky above the volcano pulsed with molten light, the very air trembling with the power of the Earth's fury. I could see the desperation in Varek's eyes, the cracks in his once unyielding facade. The rare serpent and I pushed beyond limits, I had never imagined. Flames dancing from our breaths in a deadly ballet of fire and flight. With a final desperate surge, I unleashed a torrent of flame that engulfed Varek's serpent, forcing it into a retreat that echoed across the battlefield. The Emberfang faltered, their formation breaking as their leader's power waned. Breathing hard, I hovered in the aftermath, the volcanic winds whipping ash into my eyes. Around us, the Sky Serpent riders rallied, their spirits lifted by the sight of our triumph. A victory won not just by strength, but by the fierce courage kindled in the heart of an outcast. But as the glow of battle faded, I knew this was only the beginning. Varek's fire still burned, and the skies of Ashara would not rest until the last ember faded. Yet in that moment, as the rare serpent coiled beneath me, flames licking the edges of the horizon, I felt something new: belonging, hope, and the unbreakable bonds forged in the winds of war. The battle was won, but the war for Ashara's skies was far from over, and I would be ready. The volcanic winds howled as the tribes circled warily, the echoes of the brutal battle reverberating through the ash-filled air. My gaze locked with Varek's one last time, a silent vow passing between us. The skies of Ashara were alive with fire, and so was I. The winds of war had shifted, but the story of flight, fire, and courage was far from finished. I tightened my hold on the reins, feeling the rare serpent's heartbeat beneath me, steady and strong. Ahead lay the uncertain path of what was to come, but for the first time, I faced it not as an outcast, but as a rider of the skies, a bearer of fire, and a beacon of hope. The battle had tested us all, but it had also transformed us. And as the first light of dawn broke through the smoky veil, painting the volcanic peaks with hues of gold and crimson, I knew one thing with certainty: I would never fly alone again. The winds of war had carried us through fire and fury, but they would also carry us toward a future forged in courage and flame. The roar of the volcanic winds was deafening as Kalen gripped the reins of his rare sky serpent, the creature's scales shimmering like molten glass beneath the fiery sky. Around him, the clash of serpents echoed a brutal symphony of battle cries, the beat of giant wings, and the sharp crackle of fire erupting from the volcano's fury. Kalen's heart hammered in his chest, but beneath the chaos, a calm began to anchor him. This was the moment he had been running towards all his life, the moment to face not only his enemy, but the shadows that had haunted him since his fall years ago. His serpent twisted through the thick ash-laden air, wings slicing through smoke and flame. The memories surged unbidden, the sting of the fall, the shame of the tribe's rejection, the sting of isolation. But louder than those memories was the steady voice of Lyra, her words like a beacon in the storm. "You are not alone, Kalen. Remember who you are. Remember the fire inside you." He glanced over to see Lyra riding close, her own serpent cutting through the sky with fierce grace. Her eyes met his, sharp and unwavering, and in that glance, Kalen found the strength to push back the dark doubt clawing at his mind. "I won't let you down," he whispered, though the words were for himself more than her. Above the roar, Eldrin's voice echoed in his memory, a quiet chant from the Elder's teachings. "The flame that burns within does not consume, it transforms. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it." Kalen drew a deep breath, the acrid scent of sulfur filling his lungs, and felt the flame within him kindle anew. His serpent responded, muscles tensing, wings beating with renewed vigor. Varek was ahead, a towering figure atop his own fiery serpent, eyes glowing with ruthless intent. The enemy leader charged, a blazing spear of flame trailing behind him. The two serpents collided mid-air, scales scraping like thunderclaps. Kellen's rare serpent twisted beneath the attack, narrowly escaping the searing blast. The heat was intense, but Kellen's focus sharpened, every movement precise and deliberate. He was no longer the frightened boy from the youth ceremony. He was a rider bonded to a creature of legend, fueled by courage and the unbreakable bonds forged through fire and trial. With a surge of determination, Kalen commanded his serpent upward, spiraling around Varroc's charge and slashing with the serpent's razor-like tail. The strike caught Varroc off guard, forcing him to falter. The tide of battle shifted as Kalen pressed the advantage, weaving between fire and smoke with deft agility. The sky seemed to burn brighter as Kalen's confidence soared. Memories of his fall no longer chained him, but propelled him forward. He was the heart of the flame, a beacon against the darkness threatening to consume them all. For Ashara, Lyra's cry rang out beside him, their serpents moving as one in a dazzling display of unity and strength. Varroc's furious roar echoed, but the fire in Kellen's eyes was fiercer. The battle was far from over, but in that moment, Kalen knew he had crossed a threshold. His courage was no longer shadowed by doubt. It blazed with the power to change their fate. As the volcanic sky roared around them, Kellen's voice rose above the chaos in a rallying cry, not just to his tribe, but to himself. We fly as one. The chapter closes as Kellen's serpent dives toward Varroc, wings slicing through the glowing ash, a living flame challenging the darkness, a symbol of hope and defiance in a world forged by fire. The battlefield was a desolate expanse of cracked earth and smoldering ash, the remnants of the fierce aerial battle still fresh beneath the fading light of the volcanic sun. Kalen stood atop a jagged outcrop, his lean frame silhouetted against the glow of distant lava flows, eyes scanning the horizon where the Emberfang forces had retreated into the shadowed valleys. The air was heavy with the scent of burnt scales and singed feathers, a grim reminder of the cost paid in the name of survival. His rare serpent, now resting beside him with wings folded and chest rising in slow, steady breaths, was a living testament to their shared struggle. The bond they had forged in fire and flight was stronger than ever, yet even this triumph felt tempered by the weight of loss. Kellen's heart ached for the riders who would never return, their names etched in the silence that followed the storm. Lyra approached quietly, her footsteps soft on the ash-strewn ground. Her braided hair, streaked with ash gray, fluttered in the gentle breeze, carrying the distant rumble of the volcano's restless breath. They fought bravely, she murmured, her sharp green eyes meeting Kellen's with a mixture of sorrow and resolve. We all did. He nodded, the shadows of self-doubt that had once plagued him now replaced by a cautious certainty. But at what cost, Lyra? Our tribe is battered, our people weary. The scars of this battle run deeper than the wounds we can see. She reached out, gripping his arm with steady hands. We're not defeated. Not if we stand together. Their words hung between them, a fragile promise amid the ruins of conflict. Back at the tribal council, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Skeptical elders, their faces lined with years of hardship and tradition, listened intently as Kalen stepped forward. His voice, once hesitant and shadowed by exile, now carried the strength of experience and vision. This victory is not just ours to claim, he declared, but a call to unity. The Emberfang have been driven back, but their fire still burns. If we fail to come together, we risk losing all we have fought for. Murmurs rippled through the chamber, some nods of agreement mingling with wary glances. The path to peace was fraught with political intrigue and old resentments. Yet Kalen's presence, bolstered by his bond with the legendary serpent and the courage he had shown, demanded attention and respect. Eldrin, the elder with silver hair and molten lava eyes, rose to lend his voice to the call for unity. The flames of war have scorched us, but from these ashes, a new spirit may rise. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it and move forward. Outside, the tribe gathered around a great fire, its flickering light casting long shadows on faces, etched with grief and hope. A silent vigil was held for the fallen, Eldrin's ancient chant weaving through the night air, a balm for wounded souls and a beacon for the journey ahead. Kalen stood among his people, feeling the pulse of their collective spirit rekindling. The road to healing would be long and uncertain, but with every breath drawn beneath the volcanic skies, he vowed to lead them toward a future where fire would illuminate rather than destroy. As the embers glowed and the night deepened, Colin's thoughts turned to the horizon. Beyond the ash and smoke, new skies awaited, vast, open, and full of promise. His journey was far from over. It was only just beginning. And somewhere in the distance, the faint cry of a soaring serpent echoed a call to rise, to fly, to embrace the fire within. Dawn crept slowly over the volcanic ridges of Ashara, painting the sky in hues of molten gold and soft crimson. From the jagged cliff edge, I watched the land below, the patchwork of scorched earth, ash-streaked forests, and winding rivers glowing faintly under the morning light. My rare serpent Veilfire coiled beside me, her scales catching the sun's first rays and flickering like living embers. Around us, the murmurs of the gathered tribes rippled through the air, a fragile harmony between old rivals and wary allies. This moment was nothing like the days when I was shunned, an outcast branded by shame and fear. Now, as the chosen rider of a legendary sky serpent, I stood as a bridge between fractured clans, a symbol of hope born from fire and flight. The weight of that responsibility settled heavily on my shoulders, yet beneath, it stirred a fierce determination. Kalen, Lyra's voice broke my reverie. She approached with careful steps, her braided dark hair catching the light, streaked with ash gray like the ashen skies we had come to know too well. Her sharp green eyes held an intensity that made my heart beat unevenly, a quiet storm of emotions I was still learning to navigate. "The others are ready to begin," she said, her tone steady but soft. "They look to you, to us, to this bond you share with Veilfire." I nodded, feeling the serpent shift beneath me, a reassuring presence. Then we give them a reason to believe. Together, we descended from the cliff to the heart of the encampment, where tribal leaders and riders from neighboring clans awaited. The air was thick with cautious expectation. Old wounds had not yet healed, but the promise of unity flickered in their eyes. Eldrin stood near the center, his silver hair glowing faintly in the dawn, eyes molten with wisdom and quiet pride. As I stepped forward, Eldrin's gaze met mine, and in that moment, I felt the burden of my past begin to lift. He spoke softly, his voice carrying like a steady flame through the morning chill. "The fire within you, Kalen, is not just your own. It is the spark that can ignite the courage of many. Remember, true strength lies not in domination, but in the bonds we forge together." His words settled deep inside me, warming the cold doubts that had lingered too long. I turned to the assembled tribes, raising my hand to call for silence. We have all suffered separated by fear, by pride, by the scars of old battles. But today, we stand together to chart a new path. Veilfire and I are a symbol not of power over others, but of hope, courage, and the freedom flight can bring. Murmurs of agreement spread, tentative, but growing stronger. Lyra stepped beside me then, her presence a steady anchor. She caught my eye and smiled, a gesture that carried more meaning than words. The air between us thickened with unspoken truths, promises waiting to be spoken aloud. Later, as twilight descended, we gathered around a roaring fire, its flames dancing against the darkening sky. Lyra's voice softened, trembling with vulnerability. "Kalen, I have kept these feelings hidden for too long. You've always been more than a friend to me. Seeing you rise, facing every challenge with courage, it's made me realize how much you mean to me." My breath caught, the warmth of the fire mingling with the sudden heat in my chest. I reached for her hand, the connection steady and real. "Lyra, I feel the same, more than I ever dared to admit." Eldrin watched us quietly, a faint smile tracing his lips. "Love, like courage, is a flame that can light even the darkest nights," he said gently. "It strengthens the bonds that hold us together." The following days were a whirlwind of preparation and hope. I led joint training sessions with allied riders, Veilfire soaring alongside serpents from other tribes in graceful synchronized flight. The skies above Ashara transformed from arenas of conflict to canvases of unity, our serpent's scales shimmering like embers against the brightening horizon. Every climb into the air, every shared maneuver, built trust where suspicion once festered. The rare serpent bond that had once marked me as an outcast now served as a beacon, inspiring others to embrace change and cooperation. The tribes began to see beyond old grievances, recognizing that together we were stronger against the threats looming beyond our borders. One evening, beneath a blanket of stars and the soft glow of a smoldering fire, Eldrin gathered us close. His voice carried the weight of countless seasons. "This new era is fragile, born from courage and understanding. We must nurture it with care, for the flames of division still smolder beneath the surface. But if we hold fast, the fire within us will light the way to a future where no rider is left behind." His words stirred something deep inside me, a resolve to protect this fragile peace, to lead not just with strength, but with heart. As I looked around at the faces illuminated by the firelight, the friends, the allies, the tribe, I knew the journey was far from over. But for the first time, the horizon before me was not just a distant dream, but a living possibility. The skies of Ashara no longer felt like a cage. They stretched endlessly, an invitation to soar beyond ash and smoke, to embrace the fire within and the bonds that gave us wings. And so, with Lyra by my side and Eldrin's wisdom in my heart, I stepped forward into the dawn of a new chapter, not just for me, but for all who dared to fly toward hope. The first light of dawn spilled over the jagged peaks and smoldering craters of Ashara, igniting the volcanic skies with hues of molten gold and fiery amber. I stood atop the broad, scaled back of my rare sky serpent, its sinewy muscles taut beneath me, feeling the stirring of wind and fire that had become as much a part of me as the blood beneath my skin. Around us, the tribe gathered riders perched upon their serpents, their faces alight with anticipation, their voices rising in a chorus of excitement and reverence. The air was thick with the scent of ash and the crisp breath of early morning, mingling with the distant rumble of the volcanoes that had shaped our home and our lives. This was no ordinary flight. It was a ceremony born from survival and redemption, a celebration of the tribe's endurance through fire and shadow, and of my own journey from outcast to leader. Lyra stood beside me, her serpent scales shimmering like dark glass streaked with ash gray, her sharp green eyes reflecting the dawn as she offered a steadying nod. Eldrin, the elder whose wisdom had guided me through the labyrinth of doubt and politics, was already aloft, his silver hair catching the light like a halo, his gaze as steady and burning as the molten lava that flowed beneath our feet. With a deep breath, I felt the familiar surge of courage ignite within me, a fire stoked by countless trials, and a fierce bond with my serpent. The ground beneath us seemed to pulse, alive with the heartbeat of the tribe and the land itself. Then, with a powerful thrust of wings, we lifted off, the ground falling away as the sky opened wide before us. The thunderous beats of serpent wings filled the air, a symphony of strength and grace that echoed across the volcanic canyons and ash-laden clouds. Below, the fiery rivers of lava wove their slow dance, mirroring the trails of ember and smoke we traced in the sky. The tribe moved as one, a living constellation of fire and flight, our serpents weaving through the dawn like threads in a tapestry of hope. As we soared higher, the weight of my past, the shame of my childhood fall. The loneliness of exile felt distant and diminished, replaced by a fierce sense of belonging I had never dared to hope for. Lyra's presence beside me was a steady anchor, a reminder that trust and loyalty could burn brighter than any flame. Our serpents twisted and danced in perfect harmony, the unspoken bond between rider and beast reflecting the bond between us. Eldrin's voice rose above the wind, carrying ancient blessings and words of wisdom that seemed to kindle the very air around us. His eyes, molten and wise, met mine in a moment of unspoken understanding, a passing of the torch, a recognition of the courage that had brought me here. The ceremonial flight was more than a display. It was a declaration. We were no longer fractured by fear or suspicion. We were united by fire, flight, and the unbreakable bonds forged in the skies and in our hearts. As we spiraled and soared, the volcanic landscape beneath us transformed from a place of danger and exile into a realm of possibility and new beginnings. Landing back among the tribe, the roar of approval and celebration washed over me, a tide of acceptance and hope that filled every corner of my being. I looked to Lyra and Eldrin, to the faces of my people, and for the first time, I felt truly home. Yet even as the cheers rang out, a quiet question lingered in the back of my mind. How would this fragile peace hold against the storms yet to come? For now, though, the skies of Ashara were alive with promise, and I was ready to lead us into whatever dawn awaited beyond the ash and smoke. The flight had ended, but our story was far from over. And as the sun rose higher, casting its fiery glow across the land, I knew that our courage borne on wings and tempered in flame would be the light to guide us forward. With the tribe united and the rare serpent soaring beside me, I was no longer the outcast. I was the flight of the brave. The sky above Ashara was painted with the heavy hues of dusk, the molten reds and burnt oranges bleeding into the darkening ash-laden clouds. Standing at the edge of the tribal gathering ground, I could feel the restless energy of my people weaving through the air like the serpents that soared above us. The rare serpent I had bonded with, a magnificent creature with shimmering scales that caught the last flickers of sunlight, coiled silently behind me, a living symbol of the fragile hope and fierce power that my leadership now embodied. The murmurs of dissent were unmistakable. Some of the elders, their faces etched with years of tradition and skepticism, exchanged wary glances. Whispers of doubt clung to the smoky air. Could the outcast truly guide us beyond the scars of our past? I took a deep breath, letting the heat from the nearby volcanic vents warm my skin, steadying my heart against the tide of uncertainty. This was the moment where courage mattered more than ever. Kaelin, Lyra's voice broke through the murmurs, steady and clear. She stepped forward, her sharp green eyes locking onto mine with unwavering trust. You have earned your place among us, not just through the bond you share with the serpent, but through the fire in your heart and your willingness to face what others would flee. Her words were a balm, but I knew the path ahead was still riddled with shadows. The political fractures within our tribe, the old wounds that had festered since my fall years ago, were not easily healed by speeches or displays of strength. They required understanding, humility, and the courage to confront the parts of myself I had long tried to hide. Later, as the tribe dispersed to their homes nestled among the jagged cliffs and steaming vents, I found myself walking beside Lyra down to the ash-streaked river. The water, dark and cool despite the fiery land, reflected the stars beginning to prick the twilight sky. Do you think they will ever truly accept me? I asked her quietly, the question laid bare like an open wound. She paused, her braided hair catching the faint light, her eyes searching mine. Acceptance isn't given, Kaelin. It's earned every day with every choice, every act of bravery and honesty. You've come far, but the journey isn't over. I'm here, beside you, every step. Her words carried a weight that stirred something deep within me, hope, mingled with the aching vulnerability of needing someone to stand with me. It was a fragile hope, yet it was enough to ignite the fire that had been smoldering inside. The next morning, Eldrin summoned me to the ancient cavern carved into the volcanic rock, a place where the walls bore the stories of our ancestors in serpent-shaped reliefs and glowing embers. The flickering firelight danced on his silver hair and molten lava eyes as he spoke. "Our history is not one of unbroken peace," Eldrin said, his voice low and filled with the wisdom of ages. "It is forged in fire and flight, in conflict and reconciliation. You carry that legacy now, Kaelin. But it is not just the past that defines us. It is what we choose to become." I traced the serpent carvings with my fingers, feeling the pulse of the tribe's spirit intertwined with mine. In that moment, the weight of leadership settled not as a burden, but as a mantle I was ready to claim. Yet, peace was a fragile thread, stretched thin by the ever-present threat of Ember Fang. As the sun climbed higher, I encountered Torin near the volatile edge of the volcano, a silent emissary whose lean frame and watchful eyes spoke of the restless tension between our peoples. "Kaelin," he said, his voice rough but measured, "the fires of Ashara burn hot, and so does the hatred between us. But even in flame, there can be light. The Ember Fang watch, waiting for a sign. Your strength is a challenge and a chance." Our exchange was charged with unspoken history and the possibility of change. The rumble beneath our feet echoed the uncertainty of the future, but also the promise that even old enemies might find a new path. That night, as I lay beneath the volcanic stars, the embers of my past glowed fiercely, not as scars to hide, but as flames to guide me forward. With Lyra's steadfast support and Eldrin's ancient wisdom, I was ready to face whatever came next. For the tribe, for the serpents, for the sky itself. And as the first light of dawn crept over the ash-covered peaks, I knew that my journey was far from over, but that I had finally begun to soar. The embers of old grievances still smoldered within the tribe, their whispers a constant reminder of the fragile peace we sought to build. Yet, beneath the surface tension, a quiet transformation was underway. I was no longer the outcast who had fallen from grace. I was a leader tempered by fire and flight, bound to my serpent and my people by a courage born in the crucible of adversity. Together with Lyra and Eldrin, I prepared to face the final trials that would either fracture our tribe once more or unite us in a bond stronger than any volcanic fury. The skies of Ashara awaited, vast and unpredictable, but no longer a realm of fear. They were a canvas for the future we would claim, one flight, one fire, one heartbeat at a time. As the wind stirred the ash and carried the distant cries of serpents soaring free, I felt the fierce bonds that tethered me to this land and to those I loved. The past had shaped me, but it would not define me. I was ready to rise, to lead, and to ignite the dawn of a new era. The skies above Ashara, once thick with ash and turmoil, had softened into a tranquil canvas brushed with the warm hues of dusk. Standing on the highest ridge of the volcanic land, I felt the cool wind teasing my dark hair, carrying with it the scent of molten earth and distant smoke. Below, the rare sky serpent I had come to know so intimately coiled beneath me, its scales shimmering faintly in the dying light. This was no longer the fearful creature I had first bonded with, but a proud symbol of the new era we were about to embark upon. Tonight, the volcanic skies would witness not just a flight, but a promise that defiance and courage had forged something enduring from the ashes. Lyra's footsteps were soft as she approached, the gentle rustle of her braided hair catching the last rays of the sun. We stood side by side beneath the ancient flame tree, its gnarled branches still glowing faintly from the festival's embers. For a moment, words failed us. The journey we had endured together was etched deeply into our shared silence. Her green eyes, sharp and steady as ever, held a warmth that pierced even the lingering shadows of my doubt. "Kaelin," she breathed, voice low and steady, "you've carried us all through the fire." I smiled, the weight of years of isolation lifting with her words. "It's not just me," I replied, reaching out to clasp her hand. It's all of us, the tribes, the serpents, the bonds we've rekindled. That night, the valley bloomed alive with flames and voices. From every corner of Ashara, tribes gathered, sky serpent riders, Emberfang, and others who once eyed each other with suspicion now stood shoulder to shoulder. Above us, serpents soared in eloquent arcs, weaving an aerial tapestry that celebrated survival and unity. The elders' voices rose in ancient chants, weaving history and hope into the crisp night air. Eldrin, his silver hair glowing faintly under the moonlight, placed a steady hand on my shoulder. This is the beginning, Kalen. Flight is freedom, but unity is our true strength. As the ceremony drew to a close, I climbed atop my serpent, feeling its powerful muscles ripple beneath me. The wind roared to life, and with a powerful leap, we ascended into the boundless sky. Ash and smoke fell away behind us, replaced by the infinite blue above. The air filled with the exhilarating rush of freedom, the fire within me blazing brighter than ever. This flight was more than a journey through the clouds. It was a soaring testament to courage, to belonging, and to the fierce bonds that could never be broken. As we climbed higher, the volcanic peaks shrinking below, I felt my heart swell with a fierce hope. The tribes of Ashara had faced fire and fury, but through courage and unity, we had risen anew. The skies were reborn, and so was I. Ahead lay endless possibilities, uncharted horizons where trust and flight would define our future. And with Lyra and Eldrin by my side, I knew we could face whatever storms awaited together. But as the wind whispered secrets of distant lands, I wondered, how would I nurture this fragile peace, and what new challenges would test the fire within me next? For now, though, there was only the sky, the serpent beneath me, and the boundless freedom of flight. The journey was far from over, but tonight we soared as one, beyond ash, beyond smoke, into the promise of a brighter dawn.